All right, everybody. Welcome to the Unk Hour. I'm starting a new podcast. 1 hour every week. I feel as if that's the best format. For me personally, I think that a lot of people have wanted me to do a long form podcast for a while. I've been a guest on a bunch of shows, but it's time for me to build that direct connection with audience. Episode 1, here we go. The Unk Hour. So a lot of you guys are familiar with me, but I'm going to give you a brief sort of synopsis of the last decade of me in and out of the internet. And it's been a wild ride, and it's been very, very interesting. So I want to get you up to speed with that before we really begin the Unk Hour. It's just going to be me, no guests, very bare bones. It's just me, a microphone, and a camera. Right now I'm recording this on Photo Booth. I like their settings the best. And we're just going for it, man. We're absolutely just going for it. So a little bit about me. I'm basically a guy. I go by Uncle Alfonso. I go by Alfonso. I go by Al Dog. I go by Alan. I go by Alan Erickson. This is me, and this is my podcast, the Unk Hour. A lot of people have podcasts. Most of them are pretty. I'd say 99% of them are just not worth listening to. There's very few people I listen to on the internet. There's probably maybe a handful, and I'll be mentioning them, most of them, at some point potentially during this hour, because we're going to start back in 2015, and I'm going to bring you all the way up to 2025 in and out of the internet. Blue collar jobs, white collar jobs, posting on this, posting on that. Just sort of in and out, a lot of life experience in the way. I've written a book, The Charter, a comedic journey out of hip-hop hypnosis. We'll be talking about that. I'm working on a second book that'll be out this fall. I've been working crazy hard on that. It's called, it's a book about a surf assassin. And, I'm working very hard on that. I've hired a coach to work with me, and we're going to have that out in November. We're also going to have an audiobook out in November. So I'm going all in on book sales, and I have 9,500 subscribers here on YouTube. A lot of you guys probably subscribed from guest oriented shows I had probably back in 2018. I've been doing a lot of shorts recently, so I think a lot of people have enjoyed that. Some comedy shorts, just some random thoughts. I like to do sketch, sort of inspiring. I call it action comedy when I'm out in the world, playing basketball, rollerblading, whatever the case may be. And then from there, do some fun editing and create a short and stuff like that. I've made a lot of guest appearances on podcasts, but we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the entire history of Uncle Alfonso, starting in 2015 all the way up to 2025. We're going to talk about the book writing process. We're going to talk about, the audiobook process. We're going to learn a lot of life lessons, because I'm going to take you through an entire decade of my life in and out of the internet since 2015. 2015, okay, let's take it back to 2014. 2014, I graduated from the University of Rhode Island. Well, I attended there, right? Like, I didn't even go to the graduation ceremony. I didn't really care. I'm glad I graduated, but it's like, towards the end of school, I got a sense of like impending doom, right? It's like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to sell out? Which is like a legitimate option. Like, I had a friend, and he used to talk about like, yeah, I'm just going to be a huge sellout. And he did. He was a sellout, but good for him. That's what he wanted to do. I was like, what am I going to do? After graduating college, it's like, am I going to just be a hack? What am I going to do? So I had a sense of impending doom. There was one point where I thought I was going to become I never thought I'd become, but I tried to be a financial advisor for a little bit. And that lasted like a week. I was like, wow, I hate this. I truly hate this profession. I hate this material. I can't do this. Like, I'm out, buddy. We can get into that story, but I asked myself a question. I was like, if I could do anything, what would I do? During that time period, I was like an underground InfoWars listener. InfoWars wasn't like mainstream. InfoWars was something you would listen to and like not tell anybody, besides like maybe one or two buddies you knew that were also listeners. So I was a big sort of underground InfoWars listener type of guy, but also a pretty cool guy, right? So I asked myself, I was like, if I could do anything, what would I do? I said, okay, I would start a libertarian hip hop sports blog. If I could do anything, that's what I would do. I would go down like sort of this Alex Jones, Joe Rogan sort of career path. And I did that. So my first job out of college, I was in sales. I was selling, this is funny, but it's true. It's ridiculous. I was selling people on a bulk order of groceries to be delivered to their home with high quality meats. So this is my first job. And with this first job, I basically paid to have a website created, and I started a website. It was a libertarian hip hop sports blog called guerrillaradio.tv. So in order to get the cash, in order to get this thing off the ground, what I did was this particular job where they would sell people on a bulk order of high quality groceries. And they would have their sales guys like me, go into people's homes when the appointments were set, and there would be a meeting. And I would literally ask you like, oh, how much are you paying a week, a month for groceries? I would come in with samples like, okay, I got this hamburger, this chicken sample. Here's some vegetables like frozen in this like lunch bag. And they'd be like, oh, okay, we're spending X amount, Y amount per month on groceries. We're like, oh, okay, wow, let me add this up. I'm literally adding up all their costs via hand. Okay. And then from there, it was like, oh, wow, ours is cheaper. Ours is so much cheaper. Isn't that crazy? And you get the high quality meats if you sign up for our monthly delivery service. And they're like, oh, wow, that's incredible. Your food is so good. We ate it and we enjoyed it. And you're telling me it's cheaper? Whoa. And I'm like, yeah. And then that was the sale, but it wasn't really the sale. The sale was after you got them to sign up for the groceries to be delivered, once a month. It's cheaper. It's better quality. Everybody wins, right? Then from there, it's like, oh, where are you going to put the food? You're going to need a freezer. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say it in that voice. I mean, maybe sometimes I would, because I didn't last long at that job. Because I would sell people on groceries, but the real game was selling freezers. So once you have agreed to the monthly grocery thing, the real game was where are you going to put the food? I have a great deal on a freezer. If you want to sign up for the freezer, it's actually going to lower your monthly payment. But then they'd be into a contract where they have to pay monthly for the freezer and the food. And then from there, it's like, oh, you don't want the food anymore? Well, you might have to take the freezer. Well, you're still on the hook for the freezer, something like that. That was like basically the business format. So I hated it, man, because I would go in there and I would be literally, telling people their grocery bills at their kitchen table. I don't want to be there. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't care if it's, making money selling. And then some of the guys were such good salesmen. They would sell people freezers, but they would sell them knives. They would sell them all this stuff. There's an unlimited amount of things that you could sell them. It wasn't just freezers. It was all sorts of stuff. So that was my first job out of college. But what I did with that is I launched a website. It was called guerrillaradio.tv. Keep in mind, during this time period, the blog is hot. Like BuzzFeed's super hot. Websites in general are hot. People are still going on websites for their news. They're not just strictly kind of persuaded to just go onto social media. People are still going on websites during this time period quite a bit. So the websites I would go on during this time would be like Drudge Report. I went on Drudge every day. I went on thisis50.com every day. I went on Normal, which was like a marijuana website, which I was a fan of back then, 10 years ago. I would go on that website all the time. And a few others, right? WorldStar, I would go on WorldStar all the time to see what's going on in WorldStar. But what I'm trying to say is that the website was hot. So it's like, instead of creating a Substack, the thing to do back then was really to create like a WordPress site. If you had like a WordPress site in 2015, 2016, you were like amazing. You were so cool. Because it was sort of new and it was pretty cool. So 2015 rolls around. I roll out this website and I'm thinking to myself, I don't really want to write anything. What I want to do is take news stories from all the websites that I'm going to all the time. There's more than the ones I listen to, just a bunch of news sites, cultural sites. What I really want to do is be an aggregate, sort of like drudgereport.com. If you've ever been to drudgereport.com, it's a bunch of headlines, right? It's the headlines of the day. And when you click on the headlines, it'll lead you to a different source, completely different website. But they're a hub. And what they do is they take these news articles, these links, but they create their own creative headline and maybe like a picture or something, and then they link it to that. So that's what I would do. I would take other people's stuff. I would take it, but I would link to it with my own funny headline and then just link somewhere else. So it's like I'm a aggregate. I'm sort of a one-stop shop for like all the headlines of the day. So I tried that with this particular website, and it's not working. It's not working well at all. Like traffic is pretty terrible. And what you wanted to do back then is get a ton of traffic, get a ton of eyeballs, a ton of people on your website in order to like sell ads or have people buy products through the ads on your website. That was sort of the thing to do, or sell merchandise on your website. And that was kind of the internet landscape back then, right? 1 second. Let me get a drink. Get a little water. Because we're going to go a full hour without any editing, nothing. It's just me, man. That's kind of the format of the show. And I need to do this in order to create that direct connection with audience that, as you'll see, especially in 2018, I've been lacking. So anyways, I create this site. It's cool. It looks cool. News, sports, music, health. And it's not really doing much. My like idea about aggregating all these news articles and linking them with funny headlines that I write isn't working. Like it's not bringing traffic to the site. It's just not working. So I get an idea. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start writing articles on this site. And I get an idea for an article because I'm a big rap fan at this time. I'm going on World Star all the time, things like that. There was this rap artist from Florida. His name was Stitches. And Stitches had literal stitches tattooed on his face. He has an AK-47 on his face. He has all these insane tattoos all over his face. He's got a big mohawk. He's a Cuban guy from Florida. And he comes up with this big hit. The big hit was called Brick in Your Face. And the song is like, I got that brick in your face. What you gonna do with it? He's referring to cocaine, right? He's going to front somebody a brick of cocaine, and now they owe him a bunch of money. That's the premise of the song. But it was ridiculous. It was this amazing video. It got millions of hits, and it was like this viral thing. So there's this psychotic rapper, Stitches, and I have this idea for an article like, is Stitches taking over the world? That was the headline of the article. So like I wrote it, rapper Stitches is out of control. He's taken over the world. He's this like villain character. He's down in Florida. He's got this new hit, blah, blah, blah. So I write that, and then I email it to Stitches. I tag him a few times. And then Stitches, this rapper, he ends up sharing it on his Instagram page. So that was my first like big break. I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to write about like celebrities, e-celebrities, and have them share it to bring traffic to the site, to get something going here. In between this, I'm like, I have like a solar job. I have a solar sales job where I would be at events like minor league baseball games, hardware stores, you name it. And I would have a booth and I would be signing people up with my iPad for solar energy assessments, right? So it's like, hey man, what's up? How are you? Do you want your free energy solar assessment? Sign up here. Okay, this date works for you, blah, blah, blah. Just a guy with an iPad at places signing people up for free energy assessments with solar energy. So that was my job at the time. I had like a few jobs like that. The solar thing was hot back then. It still is, but it was really hot back then, and it was kind of fun. Anyways, so that was my first big break. My second big break, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to write about what I know. I'm going to write about just random stuff that's like hot on the internet to bring traffic to the site. So during this time period, I'm also a huge fan of the Joe Rogan Experience, right? 2015 Joe Rogan Experience crowd, completely different from the crowd sort of that's now. It was sort of like an underground thing. Not that many people were familiar with Joe Rogan. I became familiar with him because I had some roommates that were fans of his stand-up, and I wasn't a fan of his stand-up. I didn't think it was funny. I'm not a huge fan of stand-up comedy as an art form. Never really been into it. I grew up with like Chris Rock, images of Chris Rock as a stand-up comedian just complaining about white people, and it was just like, this sucks. I just never enjoyed it. I never thought it was cool. So my friends, my roommates, a lot of them were huge fans of the Joe Rogan stand-up. I didn't really get it. Wasn't into it. But from there, what piqued my curiosity with Joe Rogan were guys like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. And what they would do is they would talk about ancient civilizations. So that's what piqued my interest in it. When I was living down at the University of Rhode Island, I was watching the Joe Rogan Experience like all the way through, like 3 hours, like like every day. Well, not every day. He was only on like two or three times a week, but I was totally into it. So I was a huge fan of the podcast because I enjoyed the intellectual curiosity that he had at the time, the sense of an artistic integrity he had during this time period, and he would have interesting people on, whatever. And then from there, I was like, okay, I'm going to write about this podcast. I'm going to write the top 5 reasons you need to check out the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. So I write it, keep in mind the list article is like hot at this time, like top 5 this, top 10 this, 10 reasons you should do that, 10 reasons not to do this. The list article is just hot. And so I write top 5 reasons you need to check out the Joe Rogan Experience on my own website. And so from there, I, at Joe on Twitter a bunch of times, I think on Instagram as well. So Joe Rogan ends up sharing it. Joe Rogan shares it on his Twitter page. He shares it on his Facebook page. And this isn't that big of a deal at the time. Like it's a big deal to my friends and I, and like people who are familiar with what I was trying to do, and some other people that are just familiar with like the internet culture at the time. Like, whoa, cool. Joe Rogan shared your stuff. Joe Rogan tweeted your stuff out. That's so cool. That's awesome. And during that situation, I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to write about the Joe Rogan Experience. Like, this is back in 2015. And so I would write and I would write about other e-celebrities too that were like hot at this time, that were like really popular. Like somebody like Paul Joseph Watson or like Milo or somebody like that. I would write about, top 5 reasons you need to check them out. And they would share it, and it would bring traffic to the site. So that was my little niche, was like, writing about e-celebrities and having them tweet it out and having that bring traffic to my website. So I ended up writing like top 3 reasons you need to check out the Joe Rogan Experience with Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson. Like, okay, that happens. So Joe Rogan tweets that out. Joe Rogan tweets out a few other things I was writing. I think it was like a total like 5 times. So 2015, Joe Rogan was like normally sharing my stuff, which is pretty cool, right? During this time period. This is way before the Spotify deal. This is way before 2020, way before all that. This is a time period where this guy is like known for artistic integrity. If like you shared out a meme, or if you created a meme and he tweeted it out, he would like go out of his way to give you credit after. Like he did that to one of my buddies who like made this meme. Rogan tweets it out, and then he's like, "Hey man, I made that." And Rogan's like, "Oh cool, I'll give you credit." He was really, really big on artistic integrity, which was awesome. Anyways, so that's happening in 2015. That's like a brief synopsis of 2015. 2016 rolls around, and I'm kind of getting out of the hip hop thing because I was a huge fan of rap music, but I'm realizing a lot of these people on the internet are way funnier. Like they're just in general way funnier. After, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm just going to write about the Joe Rogan experience. Then I write something like about how, top 25 guests we want to see. He wasn't really into that one. He tweeted out like, top 5 guests we want to see, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of just garbage, really. Like, internet garbage essentially. But it was cool for me at the time. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can write. If other people are sharing it, that's pretty cool. So the blog's happening. 2016 rolls around. I'm realizing like a lot of these people on the internet are way funnier, way more entertaining than, the rappers. So I'm kind of realizing that. I've become a huge fan of the Gavin McInnes show. I was a fan of that for a while. Then I was on Red Bar for a little bit, which was a lot of fun. He wasn't big at the time at all. He was sort of kind of trolling the Gavin and Anthony Cumia. I've only seen like one Cumia episode, but he would like troll him and they had like a big war. And then Red Bar, he got big in like 2017, 2018, and now he's in the stratosphere now. So that was fun. And we did that. This was a long time ago. So what happened then? Okay, the Trump train. The Trump thing was huge in the internet. So I jumped on the Trump train. I would create these like pretty ridiculous videos of basically propaganda. I would take popular music, whether it would be like Wiz Khalifa or like the Quad City DJs, and I would create these Trump matchup like YouTube videos. They would do like, one of them did like 2 million views on YouTube. I took it off because it's like embarrassing now, but these videos had like hundreds of thousands of views. And I thought that was like cool and interesting at the time, just the fact that I could create something that would generate that much interest just by myself, a guy, just a guy really. So 2017 rolls around. So I'm really into the Trump thing. And I did an internship with a guy named Mike Cernovich. So I'm telling you guys, like when I said at the beginning, like all the names I mentioned, all the things that happen, it's like insane. So it's like I got to tell the story for Unk Hour episode 1. I got to encapsulate the last 10 years in and out of the internet right here for 1 hour, one take. Let's do it. So 2017 rolls around. Okay. I'm still into the Trump thing. Website's not working out. I self-published like a pamphlet called Barter 7. It was about the conspiracy to assassinate Lil Wayne. That's not working out. Nothing's really working out. I had a construction job No, it wasn't a construction job. I was actually a security guard at the time. I was a security guard. So I'm in this security tower, okay, with some other security guards. Nothing's working out. Meanwhile, I just got done doing this internship with Mike Cernovich. Mike Cernovich had a job he was doing a show at this network called RSBN, it was called. And he tweets out, he's like, hey, I want the top 5 articles, the top 5 cultural things, something like that every day. That's the internship. Email me. So I emailed him. I get the internship. Some girl at Ohio State, she also had the internship with me. So he's like, okay, I want a guy and a girl to do XYZ for my show. I'm like, okay, cool. Boom. Email him. So I got this internship with Mike Cernovich. Okay. And Mike Cernovich is throwing a party in Washington, D.C. It's called like the Bull Moose Party or something. So he's throwing a party in Washington, D.C. I see that a man is announcing his candidacy for United States Senate in Massachusetts at this party. This guy goes by the name of Dr. Shiva. So I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? What is this? Dr. Shiva is running against Elizabeth Warren for Senate in Massachusetts. And he's an Indian guy. So I'm just thinking to myself, this is the real Indian versus the fake Indian. Because Elizabeth Warren claimed to be, Native American, and that turned out to be false. So, but that's her background. That's kind of her claim to fame for the most part. She does other stuff too, I'm sure, but whatever. Right? So I'm like, whoa, this guy is running for Senate in Massachusetts against Elizabeth Warren. He's a Trump guy. He voted for Trump. I'm into it because I was into it at the time. I was totally into it in 2016. It was so much fun. The internet during that time period was out of control. It was so much fun. That's the best way to describe it. 2015, 2016, the internet during the Trump movement was just like out of control. Like just like every day was like the Final Four March Madness, just in terms of the propaganda that people could participate in, right? Anyways, so I'm like, I gotta get involved. I go to this guy's website. It turns out he invented email. He's got all these degrees. He's got all these amazing like websites. I'm like, whoa, this is gnarly. I got to get involved. So I'm working as a security guard, but I'm DMing Dr. Shiva. I was like, hey man, I want to get involved. I want to work for you. Let's figure this out. I get a meeting with him. I show up, suit and tie, and I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. And so in 2017, I was primarily working for the Shiva for Senate campaign, right? Primarily, I had some other gigs too, but that was like my main thing I was totally into. So I'm working there. And that was probably the most unique learning experience of my life, because I got a chance to see the inside game, all of it, from the media to that's a big part of it, the media and the inner political workings of the epicenter of it all, which many do believe is here in Massachusetts, because we've got it all. We've got Harvard, MIT being the big institutions of power globally, right? So here's the deal with that. So we got this amazing candidate. It's a small team, and we're like, okay, this guy wants to help out Trump. Let's get this guy on board. How do you think that the Republican Party in Massachusetts reacted to this? Very negatively. They were there to stonewall you. They were there to make sure that you don't run against Elizabeth Warren. They don't want to win. They're paid losers. That's kind of their job, right? And we realize this slowly, and we realize it that they don't want to like win. That's not like their game is not winning. Their game is basically being, if you were to think about a boxer who gets paid to lose, like that's their job, is they get paid to lose. So they don't want to participate, the Republican Party, in our campaign, because we're all over the place, man. We're doing InfoWars. We're on the ground. We're doing Fox News. Everything from Fox News to InfoWars to local radio to local newspapers. Everything. All of it. The entire gambit of media. We're doing everything. And we're working all the time, and we're getting this candidate out there. The Republican Party wants to run this. Basically, this guy was basically a doofus, right? He was just like, he'll say and do whatever. He doesn't really care. It's just kind of his job to represent whoever is, in charge of his campaign. So I don't even remember that guy's name. It was like, his name might have been Doofus. Well, I do remember his name, but it's just, who cares, right? So that happens, 2017. I want to get out of politics after a while. I'm like, this is not for me. People within that world, that media sort of atmosphere, it's like they're not two-faced. They got 5, 6, 7, 8 different faces. So I'm like, Dr. Shiva, it's been a good run, man. I'm out. Like, I got to get out of here. I just want to go outside. So I get out of that. I find some excavating gig, and I'm digging. I'm outside. I'm working with plants. I'm working with the earth. I'm just out of that entire realm of media and just really just wild, sort of duplicitous folks. It's a duplicitous industry between the media and politics in Massachusetts. It's not straightforward at all, right? So that was my basic synopsis, but I got an incredible experience because I got to see everything, man. I was, 1 week I'm at a security guard tower. Nothing's working out. A month later, or 2 months later, something like that, I'm suit and tie at GOP dinners in Cape Cod. And then, I'm helping Dr. Shiva drive around this bus that says the real Indian versus the fake Indian. I was literally driving a bus around Massachusetts that said the real Indian versus the fake Indian. Like, that's so funny. People talk about, what's his name? Hunter S. Thompson all the time. Hunter S. Thompson, trust me, has nothing on me. Hunter S. Thompson is like garbage and trash, in my opinion, just because I think he's very unimpressive. But people talk about his book, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail. My campaign trail experience is infinitely more interesting. And I'm just giving you guys a brief synopsis, but it's infinitely more interesting than Hunter S. Thompson. Like, who cares? Anyways, okay, so from that, I'm like, I got to get out of here. Dr. Shiva has been a great run, man. We're still super cool. And then what I do from there, I get into excavating. And it's just, I love it. I love it because I'm exercising like crazy all day. And I'm getting paid for it. Things are cool, whatever. And during the weekends, my body would be so tired. My body would be so KO'd from working all the time in excavating, right? Digging, a lot of shovel activity, man. A lot of shovel, a lot of plants, a lot of trees, a lot of branches, things of that nature, right? So, but I'm reading like a psychopath every weekend. I'm reading like a psycho. Like, my body is so tired, right? I'm able to lay there and just read like 3 or 4 books in a weekend because I wouldn't move. I was so tired physically after, 5 days of having basically a shovel in my hand, right? I would just order books on Amazon during the week. But think about this, man. How many books do you think you could read if you weren't going to really move too much during the weekend? You could put down 3 or 4 books. And that's what I was doing every weekend in 2017. I must have read, I don't want to say how many, but like a lot, 3 or 4 every weekend. Just, that's all I would do. So from there, 2018. So that was basically 2017 in a nutshell. Let's fast forward to 2018. 2018, a lot of you guys are familiar with, if you're a subscriber to this channel, America's #1 Chadcast. America's #1 Chadcast, 2018. How did that all happen? Well, I was getting a little tired of the excavating. It was really taking a toll just in terms of, I can't do this for years and years and years. I got to do something else because this is crazy. I'll get in really good shape, but I can't do this forever. I have to do something creative, something along those lines. 1 second. I got to get a sip of coffee. Welcome to the Unk Hour. Oh, man. All right. We're back, man. We're back. Anyways, so 2018. This is what happened. There's this guy I knew from the Shiva for Senate campaign. He had a job at a university where he would film lectures. That was like his main job, right? But he had all this equipment. He had all this know-how. And he was really into live streaming. I was like, cool, that sounds awesome, man. And we were cool, whatever. Then he has this studio. He's like, hey, man, come by this studio. Like, I got all these cameras. I got live streaming equipment. I got lights. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I'd love to check it out. He's got a studio. And I'm like, whoa, that he was paying for monthly. And I'm like, listen, man, we should do a podcast. Like, I know for a fact I can get guests because at the time I had about 5,000 followers on Twitter, right? And I had some clout. I had some interesting people following me, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool, man. Let's start a show. Let's start. I think at first it was called Call Me Al. That was the name of the show at first. So I do like a 15-minute episode, do like a second, maybe half-hour episode, something like that. It was just me. For episode 3, I get the first guest. No, I think episode 2. I can't really remember. Something like that. I get the first guest, which was a guy by the name of Adam Kokesh. So Adam Kokesh, if you guys don't know who that is, he'd be like an InfoWars veteran, total InfoWars veteran. He was like back in the day, like way back. I'm talking like 2005, 2008. This is the Unk Hour. Adam Kokesh would be on InfoWars all the time, as well as Mark Dice, Luke Radowski, and Gerald Calente, and a few other. But they were represented basically the regulars of InfoWars back in the day. So Adam Kokesh is the first guest. After that, I had Baked Alaska and Uncle Hotep. Then just a few random people. Things don't really pick up until episode 11, right? For episode 11, I hosted a debate between Nick Fuentes and Styx Hexenhammer 666 over religion in the United States. Now, this show has about, to this day, it's still on my channel. It's got like it's pushing 200,000 views, right? So that's a lot of people. Which is pretty cool. So how did that happen? When Fuentes was still on YouTube, he had an audience of about 100 people, like in 2017, literally. He would have 100 live viewers, and I was one of them. And I would super chat him and be like, hey, man, would you debate Styx? Would you debate this guy, Styx Hexenhammer? Because I'm thinking like, yo, I should set up a debate to get this Chadcast, America's #1 Chadcast, get it off the ground. Because, it was doing okay with the guests and it was doing all right. But I wanted to take a huge step forward. So I'm like, okay, let's get Fuentes and Styx to debate about religion in the United States. This is during the internet blood sports era. People like myself, and I believe Andy Worski was the big one with JF, and there was a few others. But those were the big ones that would host debates online where people would debate their ideology, inevitably end up insulting each other. And it was a lot of fun. Everybody would enjoy it. So there was that in 2018. So I schedule and I put together the Nick Fuentes versus Styx Hexenhammer, me and this guy. We called him the voice of reason. He was the guy I did the Chadcast with. So that happens, does very big. That's like the big event of the internet that night. It was huge. So that happens. Then from there, I'm having other random guests on, thinking about other debates. Had Jay Dyer on a bunch of times. This is way back when none of these people are famous back then. A lot of them are huge now, right? So episode 18, Andrew Tate. So a lot of you guys are familiar with that show, right? I think that's pushing, it's like at 80,000 views. That'll potentially reach 100,000 views. So how did I get Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate on the same podcast? Just a guy who knew another guy with a studio, very basic equipment, nothing fancy, no backing, nothing. How do you do it? This is how. I'll tell you. It's not that hard. I just did it. Like this show right now, just do it. You know what I mean? An hour, the Unk Hour, launch a new podcast. Just do it, right? So how did that happen? Because people ask me all the time, how did you get Andrew Tate on your show? People ask me, I'll tell like my cousins and stuff. I have cousins like in their 20s. So they're like, no way, you didn't do a podcast with Andrew Tate. Then I send them the link. I'm like, yeah, I did. It's like right there. But we're going to get into that because there's a lot we could talk about with that whole situation. A lot. Anyways, but how did it happen? I'm on Twitter at the time. I'm like, hey, I just did that huge show with Fuentes and Styx and Hexenhammer. I'm like, I'm trying to get guests because this is why this particular show, the Unk Hour, won't have any guests, probably ever. Because when you have guests on your show, it's comparable to hosting a house party and everybody's there to hang out with the guests. Nobody's actually there to hang out with you. That's what having a guest-oriented podcast is like. It doesn't create that direct connection with your audience. And that's the only thing that really matters in this game. And selling them books, of course. That's what That's what we're into. Okay. So check it out. It's on Amazon. And okay. So from there, okay, I'm on Twitter. I'm looking for guests. And I start messaging Tristan Tate because Andrew Tate was off Twitter at this time period. So I'm like, hey, Tristan, do you want to come on the show? He's like, oh, yeah, cool. That sounds awesome. I'll do it. Schedule a date. Okay, cool. We're going back and forth. Oh, can I reschedule? Oh shit, I got to reschedule. I'm like, okay, cool. It's awesome. Whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to have Tristan Tate on the show. Looking forward to that. It's scheduled. I'm in the studio. It's about to happen. I'm excited. It's like, let's do it. Let's get some views. Let's get some subscribers. Let's, have a interview-based podcast, right? So I show up. I'm on Zoom. I'm like, okay, cool. Tristan Tate's about to be here. Boom. Cobra. Attack. It's Andrew Tate. So the entire time, I thought I was talking to Tristan Tate via Twitter. It was actually Andrew the entire time. So it was like an ambush, right? So I was like, oh, sick. Oh, no, it's the Cobra. And he's smiling, I'm smiling. It's like, dude, Cobra, you set me up kind of. That's sick. Whatever. But anyways, we had a good time. And we did a show for an hour. So, this is somebody like Sneeko, right? He thinks he's cool because he collaborated with these people. I did it like 5 years before you, buddy. Like, this is the Unk Hour. Unk's been in and out of this game for a while. So what happens from there? After that, I host a few more debates. Some debates with Jay Dyer. He debates Jim Goad. He debates some Robert Taylor guy who was in and out. Who else did we have? We had Fuentes debated Adam Kokesh, who was like the first OG guest of America's #1 Chadcast. Ends up debating Fuentes. Fuentes cooked him. Adam admitted to using marijuana prior to the debate. So that was basically 2018. And then 2018, towards the end of the Chadcast, we lost the studio. Everything came crashing down, man. He lost it. I wasn't personally paying for that studio. He was. He lost the studio. He stopped. The lease was up. He was done. I was done. I was kind of sick of it. And that was kind of it for 2018. 2019, I wasn't really on the internet too much. I think I got suspended from Twitter, and I kind of took some time off. The Chadcast was done. A lot of other stuff was going on in my life, but it was kind of a crash out. The Chadcast crashed out. Like, oh, why don't you continue with the Chadcast? Well, everything crashed, man. Everything. All at once, just towards the end. Did like 52 episodes. Everything crashed out. I think I tried to launch like a Gum Road. That didn't work out. It was kind of, I was done. I was burnt out for sure. 2019, did not do much internet activity. 2020, the big Bologna viral, right? The big thing in 2020. I wasn't on the internet much because guys I was listening to, Dr. Shiva and also Owen Benjamin, I felt like they were telling the truth. Let them do their thing. They're doing a good job telling the truth about that whole situation. I'm good. I'm going to work every day. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm just living my life sort of quietly. So that continues 2020, 2021. 2022, I'm back. I start the Substack. I start the Unc Hour Substack. I have an audio podcast. So a lot of you guys may have listened to that, the Unc Hour, back in 2022. I also launched a course. The course was called Grifters University. If you haven't seen the trailer for Grifters University, I recommend you check it out. Check out the griftersuniversity.com. That will lead you to my Substack, which isn't active. I have a bunch of stuff on there, but it's not active. A bunch of it is like behind a paywall that's like not active either. So, but it was fun. I was a Substacker in 2022. 2023, getting back into the game a little bit. I did 2 podcasts. A lot of you guys have seen in 2023. A lot of you guys have seen this. I did 2 shows. They were both They were both astrologically themed, I should say. So the 2 shows I did in 2023 were Astro Chads with my buddy Dr. Narco Longo. Go to his, if you guys want to watch the whole series of Astro Chads, it's every single astrological sign, all of them. go to Dr. Narco Longo on YouTube. Type in that because it's all on his channel, not the Old World Florida channel. It's on his personal channel. It's 12 episodes where we go through every astrological sign, their meaning, and it's a lot of fun. Astro Chads was awesome. And another show I did in 2023, I was a co-host of Astro Chats with Dr. Narco Longo. Another show I did in 2023 was with my buddy Robert Phoenix. He's like an astrological wizard. He's like the astrologer's astrologer. Also an encyclopedia of all information. So we did a show called Serious Sports. It was a sports astrology show. So that's all on his channel. Serious Sports still has its own channel. We had a lot of fun. We talked about sports and astrology and all sorts of high strange, as he calls it, conspiracy tying in, geopolitics tying in. So I did 2 podcasts in 2023 and a bunch of guest appearances on the Old World Florida channel, Astro Chads and Serious Sports. So after that, I was sort of this co-host on 2 different shows, right? But towards the end of that run, I'm like, you know what? I still don't have that direct connection with an audience. I'm making a lot of co-host appearances, but I'm not having my own show speaking directly to people about, my thoughts, my experiences, my life, and things of that nature, which is what I'm doing now. It took all the way up into here to gain all this experience and have all these different situations in order to be in this Unk Hour seat and be in a position where I feel like I have so much value to give people, and I have so much, multifaceted mindset advice, because I've been in the blue collar world, I've been in the white collar world, I've been in politics, I've been in media, I've been in independent media, I've been in all sorts of excavating, construction, landscaping, all of it. So just a bunch of stuff, man. So also an author. So also an audiobook author. And then, so that was 2023. 2024, I said to myself, I need to finish this audiobook. I need to turn this book that I wrote into, and I had help. I hired a coach and hired editors, hired artists. So I used the money I was making to hire people, right? And create the best product I could. So I need to finish this audiobook. So 2024 on weekends, because I had a full-time construction job at this time, right? I'm working 5 days a week in construction, right? So that's a lot, dude. That's a lot. It was a real lot when during the weekends I would work on this audiobook. It's a 320 page book, and I have to recite every line in character with all these different characters. And if the line doesn't work out, guess what? I got to re-record it. I got to make it as good as I possibly can. So 2024 for me was really all about recording the audiobook. 2024 was about finishing the audiobook, and that took about a year. Fast forward to 2025, and I'm working on different things. I'm working on a Surf Assassin book. I'm making guest appearances. I'm tweeting. I got an Instagram I started, all this stuff. So a bunch of stuff in between. I'm working full time. So 2025 rolls around. Beginning of 2025, like March, total crash out. Again, everything's not working out. The construction job, it's a cycle, things go up and down. So the construction job, I'm out of there. I got sick of that. I'm done. A lot of things kind of crashed out in my personal life, right? So my dad got sick. Like things are it's a total crash out. A lot of you guys, if you came here from Twitter, you remember the entire crash out video series. I started making videos about crashing out, and I got embraced by this meme coin subculture called Crash Out Coin. So they embraced me as Unk during this time period because I'm making videos about crashing out, and they're really good. They're doing thousands and thousands of views. People are sharing them. And then Crash Out Coin embraces me as Unk. I'm the Unk of Crash Out Coin, whatever that means. I'm not into crypto. But that was fun. So that's kind of how I became Unk officially. Then I'm thinking to myself also, it's so many millennials, guys my age, they don't want to be Unk. That's crazy. Being Unk is sweet. Being Unk is you're in a position where you actually have achieved some wisdom and some years, and you have some things to say. And, the cool thing about being Unc is there's no desire to be cool. There's no desire to follow the trends. There's no desire to, fit in any sense. When you're Unc, you're uno. You're one of a kind when you're Unc, which is cool. So 2025, launched the book again, relaunched it independently. I used to be involved with a publisher. Relaunched the book in 2025. Launched the audiobook. People love it. And then in 2025 now, Leo season, baby, I'm launching the Unk Hour, an hourly show once per week, because I feel as if that's my lane, recorded, not live streamed. I feel like live streaming, I know that's really hot nowadays, the whole streamer thing, but the streamer thing, like, at the end of the day, why these streamers are so big is they're mimicking friendship, is basically what they're doing. And it's a little bit weird. I get it, but it's a little bit weird in the sense that all these folks are on their screens and they're somewhat atomized, right? They're somewhat isolated as individuals watching these streamers, and these streamers basically mimic friendship and sort of demean the viewers by calling them chat. Like what? I think that's funny. Like, I think it's funny to say like chat in real life, like call somebody chat. Like, I think that's funny, but it's a little bit weird. For me personally, I think the format is 1 hour video, just me. And then from there, Spotify. That's it. YouTube, Spotify, 1 hour per week is all you're getting from Unk. Because also, I don't think I'm one of these guys that can stream or do video every single day. I think for me personally, doing 1 hour per week is perfect. And I hope it's perfect for you as the listener or the viewer, because I always enjoyed having something to look forward to when I went home to watch, or something to listen to on Spotify while I was at work. Like, I always really enjoy listening to those things that I enjoy listening to. Now I'm at the point where it's like, I don't really listen to that many people at all. Like 99% of the internet, there's a very select group of people that I listen to. I listen to Owen sometimes. I listen to Robert Phoenix sometimes, Longo sometimes, and Dr. Shiva, and sometimes, not everybody all the time, but that's about it. I don't think I listen to anybody else. Fuentes sometimes, just snippets, right? Just 30-second snippets of Fuentes sometimes, because he is entertaining, he is funny. But ultimately, I think with the Unk Hour is that the theme is really just to keep going, just go for it, man, and just have no fear, and just be awesome. Be I don't know. I guess that's the theme. I don't know. I was kind of freestyling that. So anyways, 2025, what's going on in 2025? Basically, I'm working to create that direct connection with audience with the Unk Hour. I am working on a second book. It's tentatively about a surf assassin. And when I say I'm working on a book, everybody says, oh, I'm working on a book. And then it takes 5 years. No, I actually do it. And 100,000 words deep with this surf assassin book proves that. And then from there, what are we going to do? That's going to be coming out in November. So other than the Unk Hour, my main project, in addition to, I have an hourly gig I do, which is more of the construction landscaping variety. I have a gig, but other than my gig, I'm pretty much all in on the Surf Assassin book and completing that. And also the Unk Hour, launching that. It's been a long time coming. And also doing shorts on YouTube and doing Instagram videos. What I've been thinking about a lot is some sort of like, I call it, this is just going on in my head, like a content contract. Like, okay, this is what I will deliver every week, every month. What I'd like to do is do a podcast, and I'm doing it right now, a video podcast once a week, long form, and do a video every day and do a book every year. That's what I would like to work towards. So it's been an interesting sort of decade in and out of the internet, how things have changed, how things have remained the same in some ways. But ultimately, the Unk Hour is about Hulkamania. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so from there, just kind of freestyle a bit from here. So I'm working on the audiobook. Okay, the process of the audiobook in hip hop hypnosis. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be working on that I'm excited about is sort of a series, a 1-minute series where we look at case studies of hip hop hypnosis. I'm giving you a preview right now because I think I'm going to go work on that right after this. So there's a lot of young men that are in a state of hypnosis because they listen to rap music all the time. And I know you've heard that before, but it's so basic and it's so true and it's so in your face that a lot of people can't see it. I'm going to be taking video clips of guys that I know for a fact are under hypnosis. Specifically, this guy, Rory, who hosts a podcast. Awful. This guy, what's his name? Tyler Hero. He's a basketball player. And this guy, Chet Holmgren. So when you listen to these guys talk, they've spent decades, day after day, dumbing themselves down to the point where they talk like morons. And it's mind-blowing because they're in a state of hypnosis. They're listening to hip-hop rhythmic beats and basically going through behavior modification, through repetition, through hip-hop hypnosis. And I think that hip-hop hypnosis is probably the most important term of the century because once you can't see it, you can't unsee it. So hiphophypnosis.com, I have that web address. I think it's very, very valuable because that's a term that's not popular now, but it's going to become basically mainstream in about 10 years because rap music is basically done, in my opinion. But for millions and millions of people, they're still under a state of hypnosis. But when you kind of look at Kanye, Drake, Puff Daddy, these guys, they're sort of representative of late stage hip hop hypnosis, in my opinion. What do I mean by that? Diddy was basically like a godfather of the entire culture. And now we see what's come out publicly about him and all of his sort of shartery activities. Kanye is in a situation where it's like he's kind of exposing the whole game, but he's also kind of exposing himself at the same time because he's kind of a, what would you call it? What's the word for it? Oh, man, it's a specific word. It's reprobate. He's sort of a reprobate. So that's going on. And then we have Drake. And Drake, I kind of like Drake because he has a sense of humor, but he can't sing. He's got like 5 or 6 different software programs going. Every time he sings. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. But not really. Millions and billions of people are still listening to his music. And then what do we have? Oh, Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is the most forced. It's so forced and it's so awful. It sucks. It's what I call Afro fetishism. It's like blackity black, 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 black. It's like, dude, we get it. You're black. It's like, it's not interesting, you know? So Kendrick Lamar is awful. And I used to be a Kendrick Lamar fan back in like 2012. But it's just super cringe. The whole situation is super cringe. And that's about it. But I think maybe next show we will talk more in depth about hip-hop hypnosis because I can go through my whole process of snapping out of hip-hop hypnosis and why I chose to write a humorous novel called The Sharter. And it's like, people might say, oh, the title is a little bit grotesque or whatever. But people are at the same time, they're listening to Lil Baby. They're listening to Da Baby. They're listening to Pooh Shiesty. And it's like, that's way grosser, you know, because you don't even understand that it's gross, right? And I was having a thought the other day. It's like Lil Baby. It's like, do you think his friends call him Lil Baby? Imagine that. Imagine you're like, I don't know, like at a restaurant and then there's a table over there and there's a group of guys and they're all calling this guy Little Baby. And it's like, that's cringe. What about Da Baby? Do you think Da Baby, they call him, hey, what's up, Da Baby? How are you today? Like, do you want to go play Matt? Like, they literally call each other Da Baby and Lil Baby. the whole scene is so gross and so disgusting that you understand why I wrote a book called The Sharter, a comedic journey out of hip-hop hypnosis. And I'm all in on the Surf Assassin book, so you can look out for that next. And we're going to be taking things up a notch on this YouTube channel. Also on Spotify, we're going to be taking things up a notch. And maybe even a little Rumble, who knows. So this has been the Unk Hour, signing off, episode 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you later. Peace.